Hi, I'm Boris, TNW founder and your host for Kia's Next Big Drive. In this series, we will be giving a lift to 5 innovators speaking at TNW 2025. Let's get going. I'm on my way to pick up Jelle Prins. And Jelle Prins is a co-founder at Cradle. And Cradle is a company that is trying to make biology hackable. I don't know what that means, but I'm eager to find out. And also Jelle was one of the first employees at Uber, where he built their app. So that's also interesting. Good morning, Jelle.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. I'm your Uber driver for today. I'm going to take you to the next web conference. We can have a chat on the way there.
All right, let's
I'll
go.
open the door for you.
Thank you.
Jelle, I think we met just before you joined Uber, which is a while ago. And is it true that you've built their first app?
It is true, and I think I remember the first time that I had dinner at your place.
Yes.
Which was just before Uber got launched in Amsterdam, and you gave that dinner because Sam Gelman, the Uber launcher, had just arrived in Amsterdam, and he was looking to meet local entrepreneurs.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. And they were thinking about launching Berlin, Paris, or Amsterdam.
Yeah, and we had to convince him that it should be Amsterdam.
Right, and we did. Yeah, that's true. But so, did you join Uber after that or before?
So I joined Uber in two parts. So I joined Uber in 2009. So that was the very beginning. We still had to figure out like all the different details, like how do we do payments, what's the function of that car on the map, and so on. So I was responsible for the first mobile apps, the rider and the driver app.
Right.
This was before Uber had any cars on the road, before Uber even had an office. So we worked out of different coffee shops.
Yeah.
And then I left Uber after about a year and a half and rejoined in 2014. So shortly after Uber was also launched in Amsterdam.
Okay. So if we could erase history and Uber would no longer exist, but they would start today and ask you to build an app, what would you do differently?
Well, the obvious thing that has changed is that self-driving is now basically around the corner.
Right.
It's working in quite a few cities in the world, both in the US and in China.
And is that like true self-driving, or is it still like they told it the map and it follows the map?
No, that's true self-driving. As in, you still need to map the entire city. And so they've driven around with very high-end cameras multiple times to have like a high definition image of the city.
Right.
But the car is driving itself.
Yeah.
And it can go anywhere and can go, well, any route that they have mapped.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was sort of a distinction. Like it is self-driving, but if you would pick it up and drop it in the middle of France, then it would get lost.
Well, because they haven't mapped it yet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think another interesting thing is that some Chinese companies seem to have figured this out as well. So it's not just Google who has been working on this for a long time that have stumbled upon something magic, but it's now multiple companies, which means multiple other companies will likely follow.
Right. So the problem is solved and now we're just rolling it out.
Yeah. And I have not heard of any indication that this would work in San Francisco but wouldn't work in Amsterdam.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that friends always tell me, like, yeah, of course it works in American cities, but it will never work in Amsterdam because we're so complex. And I just think that's very arrogant, or at least it sounds very arrogant. Yeah. I expect self-driving cars to land here in Europe soon.
All right. Yeah. Jelle, you co-founded a company called Cradle, and the tagline is hacking biology.
It's designing better proteins.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's what I remember. Yeah.
But you know proteins from your food. These proteins are super complex molecules. They're large molecules existing out of amino acids. And you have to see them as basically tiny little factories. They grab onto another molecule, say a sugar molecule, and then take it apart, combine it with different molecules, and then make something new, like alcohol. So in your body, they're responsible for breaking down, building anything, communicating stuff. And so theoretically, if you can design these proteins, you can cure many different diseases. But because they're also tiny little factories or tiny little machines, You can also use them to make a lot of production methods much more efficient. So chemical factory, for example, currently uses a lot of energy. With enzymes, a type of proteins, those processes could be much more efficient. You could use proteins to manufacture more food ingredients. You could use them in agriculture for more environmentally friendly pesticides. Yeah. And so, yeah, having the ability to design proteins would solve many of, or at least help solve many of today's humanity's biggest challenges. So if you can design these proteins, you can cure many diseases, you can make many production methods much more efficient, you can create better materials. In agriculture, you can create environmentally friendly pesticides, you can create better food ingredients. So if we succeed here, it would help solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
That's not ambitious at all.
But designing proteins, like you can imagine, super complex molecules existing out of like 4,000 different amino acids, super complex. And so it has been done, especially by pharma companies, for many years, but 9 out of 10 of those projects fail. They have the money, obviously, to do this. But with AI, what we're now seeing is that we can speed up these processes by like 10x, up to 10x, also 90% cheaper, and also have a lot higher chance of success. You might have seen, you've probably seen the AlphaGo documentary. Did you?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. No? No? Okay. So recommending you watch this together with Tessa. You will enjoy it. So
AlphaGo.
AlphaGo. So DeepMind, the
I have seen it. Yes, of course. Yes.
Where they play Go.
Yeah, they play Go.
And you remember that at some point the AI made a move that made all the commentators say like, oh, that's a stupid, fucked up move. Like no human would ever make that. And then later on in the game, it turned out that was the brilliant move. No human would ever make it. And so we're sometimes seeing this with our AI as well, where it makes protein designs where the specialists, the protein engineers, are looking at the design and like, we really have to convince them to spend money in testing this in the lab. But then once they do, it turns out that these are often the best designs.
So it's the counterintuitive, like unhuman-like. It's none of the knowledge we have. It's just like
and the AI is able to like when they used to engineer proteins, they would take one of those 4,000 amino acid and then flip it out for another or delete it and so on. And with AI, we can try many more changes all at once.
I mean, this is all just like amazing and like my mind-boggling. I have a million questions, but how did you get into this? Because you were an app developer, and this sounds like you're a biology teacher or scientist, really. Like, what was the?
No, so when I left Uber, I was approached by many different companies if I wanted to come work for them, from like the bigger tech companies to smaller startups and scale-ups. And I realized that I would just be repeating the same trip, doing it all over again, and where's the challenge in that? And I started talking to my current co-founder and CEO, Steph, and we had known each other for 12 years at that point. And he told me about like the different AI developments that he had seen at Google. So this was beginning of 2020. This was before ChatGPT, but you could already see like that the first signs, like, oh, AI is going to have that breakthrough moment where it's going to have a broad impact on the world.
Yeah.
And we basically started looking at where do we believe AI is going to have the potential for the most positive impact on the world. And very soon landed on biology, while neither of us has that biology background. So very naive. And then luckily we ran into our other co-founders who do have the biology background.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's endless possibilities, but do you feel like, well, yes, of course, endless possibilities, but the main focus is this, which is still like a lot of...
So About 60% of our current clients are in pharmaceuticals, and that's where the first obvious wins are. Also because these companies were already doing a lot of protein engineering, and we can just help them be much better at it. But then as the costs for protein engineering come down, you see this open up a whole lot of possibilities in the other industries like chemical and agriculture and food technology. And ultimately, that's why we started the company, because we believe that it can have a huge impact on climate change and pollution.
Right. And can you describe what the company looks like? Like you walk through the doors, is it like big machines? Are you walking around with protein shakes and mixing up stuff? Or what does that look like?
So we have two locations. We have a large office in Zurich in Switzerland. There's a lot of AI talent there. And we have an office here in Amsterdam, and that's also where we have our wet lab. And so the wet lab is, as you imagine a wet lab, like huge fancy machines,
Wet?
Well, like a wet lab is like where you do pipetting, and
Right.
people are wearing white coats,
White coats.
and they have safety glasses and plastic gloves.
Okay.
And there's machines that can cost like $500,000 each. But we use that lab to design the proteins that our AI has generated. But we only do this to validate our own model. So we don't do any customer work in our lab. It's purely for internal use. And our business model is this also a very simple SaaS model. Like they license our software. Once the software has designed the proteins, they test them in their own lab.
Is it like selling a recipe? Basically, you develop the recipe and then you sell it?
Well, they basically use our software to design the recipe. Yeah. And so the output of like the software designs millions of proteins, but a single protein is basically a text file with like 4,000 different characters, every character being a different amino acid.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you can also imagine that our software security needs to be very tight, because one of those 4,000 character formulas can be the next GLP-1.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there ever a fear that you create a protein that will turn us into zombies and then it's the end of the world?
No.
No? Well, now I'm scared. You should be scared of that. All right, there's no risk of that.
Well, the proteins are not self-replicating. So, no.
Yeah, that sounds like the scientists saying like, no, it's okay because it's not, and then suddenly it isn't. Like, no, not worried.
No, we're not worried. And like we also know what we put in, and yeah.
Yeah. What is if like in 5 years we meet again? Is there something where you would be extra proud if I say like, hey Jelle, I heard you built this thing that changed this specific problem? What is the one thing?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll make a real difference in climate change.
Climate change, yeah.
Yeah, but
how would
ultimately,
that
like
work?
with our software, we're hoping to enable like 1 million scientists to do
Right.
this. So it's not
Oh,
us doing the research towards clients. We're enabling 1 million others to do this.
Yeah. There's a thing I want to do with you, a little word game, where I say a few words and then you react just as fast as you can
Okay.
on a single word. Like, and so the first one is flow. Like I'll say flow and then you say something. Flow.
Flow. ADD.
ADD. Great. Acceleration.
Capital.
Startup.
Scale up.
Charge.
Phone.
Data.
Valuable.
Like it. Yeah. What did you say at acceleration? Capital, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you think capital accelerates stuff. That's why you said it. Are you fundraising?
Yeah, well,
That's the first thing
we're
you
not
think about.
fundraising, but well, you need capital often to accelerate. Uber is a prime example. Like their capital actually was a competitive advantage.
Yeah, when they raised $1 billion, right? I remember
Uber?
that. Uber.
Uber raised like 20 billion.
Yeah. I remember the first billion where it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like $1 billion?
Yeah, no, when we raised I think when we raised the second billion very shortly after the first billion, my reaction was more money, more problems. Like,
Yeah.
like you could already feel like, okay, this is opening a shit can of worms.
Like its own force of gravity. Yeah. True or false, AI will replace CEOs.
Well, true. So we will have companies that will be run by AIs. I'm very confident that the current CEOs will at some point have an AI that is both their assistant as well as their manager and mentor and strategist. Yeah.
Do you think your CEO knows that?
My current CEO.
Yeah.
Well, he uses AI as well to jam and think strategically. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, vibe coding?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think
it's very addictive?
very addictive? Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah. But do you think there's a CEO somewhere who's vibe CEOing?
Oh, probably. Yeah.
You could.
No,
right?
like one of the latest things that I like to do is take O3 Pro, the latest model, reasoning model from OpenAI, and give it a wild business idea and then have it like make the business case. So the most recent one that I thought I should try is there is thousands, if not millions, of shipwrecks on the ocean floor, and some of them literally have billions worth of gold and other treasure still. And so I gave the O3 a prompt, like make the business case for making a 1,000 autonomous submarines that scan the ocean floor just looking for treasure. And it was actually a very positive business case. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, I have one more true false. Electric cars are the future of road trips.
Yeah. That obvious.
Obviously, right?
Right, yeah.
And self-driving as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I'm so looking forward to that moment where self-driving is so good that we can get into a car like this in the evening and then wake up in France for a day of snowboarding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it will be fascinating to think about, like, okay, what kind of impact does that have on the French villages in the mountains? What kind of impact does that have or on where you personally want to live? It will become much more comfortable to live further outside of like normal cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't need parking garages, or there won't even be cars
No,
standing
like,
still, right? So the
and
only
there's-
cars is just the cars that drive, and then at night they just go to, I don't know, the forest and hide and charge.
Yeah. No, we can use AI to picture the Amsterdam canals without any parking spots, just a whole lot of trees and grass and nature.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this was a joy.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Thank
hope
you.
your talk goes well. I will get out and help you out of the car, as a chauffeur does. Sure. I hope for a 5-star rating
5 stars.
and a tip.
Thank you.
Want more? Check out the next episode or watch the full Kia's Next Big Drive series right here. See you on the road.